Hey, Mike. 2021 is looming close, and it couldn't come a moment too soon. Would you agree?
I think 2020 has been a very interesting year. You know, there are people who will say it brought out the best. There are people who will say it brought out the worst. I suppose both could be true.
It certainly tested our mettle and our character, and still is. And,
it did. It did. But Mike, there's the one thing that I did notice, though, and I would say, and this is, I guess, what I'd love to get into this brief show and kick off, if you will, to the new year, and that is that no matter how crazy and how haywire this year went for many, fundamentals still remained true. People's character remained true. There are still things that no matter what you do in COVID, there are still personal or human needs, basic human needs that remain true. And there are also market trends and economic laws, rules.
Yes.
No matter how much we tested them and pushed the boundaries, those laws still remain true. And
yeah, at least north of the 49th parallel, they did.
Yeah, so true.
I don't know if we want to go broader than that in that observation right now, because that's a whole other story too.
Circus act.
I thought today we could sort of, let's look forward. Let's project, use our crystal balls and our wealth of knowledge that you and I collectively have here with regards to real estate. Hopefully that's not overstating it, but one of the things that is going to be a major factor in the year ahead, and it always is with regards to real estate, is consumer confidence. And we did see it drop when the first announcements came out about COVID landing on our shores. Then it regained itself through the summer. Then this second wave came about and consumer confidence dipped again. And then they made the announcements. We've got the vaccines starting to roll out. It'll take longer. There will be setbacks and there will be far greater costs. And please, whoever's watching this, working in government, prove me wrong. I hope I am wrong on that. But that remains to be seen. I'm prepared for either outcome on that.
Yeah, well, I think what we're seeing, Mike, is that I think we're seeing that no matter how, and there's always, again, I'm an and person. I think we're seeing that no matter what has been thrown at us, while you were talking, the song, I get knocked down, but I get up again, ain't nothing going to keep me down. And it just keeps going and going and going. This has been that year of getting knocked down and getting up again.
Yeah.
Humans and society, Canadians, I don't want to get, I'm a patriotic person, but I'm not going to get ridiculous and cliched about it. We're resilient.
You just did.
I did. We're resilient. But we're resilient and we're defiant. And in our defiance, okay, we did see the best of people and we saw the worst of people. So we see the defiance of people. We weren't going to get political, but you talked about our federal government. We can also talk about our provincial representatives. It's not partisan. All right. Yeah. We see our defiance in those who are thumbing their nose at lockdown rules where the rules don't apply to them. I've always been a person, certainly when I was on council, and former colleague Bonnie Ainsworth taught me something very valuable, and that was, it doesn't matter when the vote has been cast, whether I got my way in my vote or I didn't. It was the will of council. It was the will of Parliament. It was the will of government, and therefore we respect that decision. And so we've got some representatives who are defiant, and they're going against what should be the baseline for all of us to follow. That's a negative version of defiance. And then there are those who are positively defiant. This isn't going to knock us down. We will find a solution. We will find a vaccine, or we will find a way to live with it. We will find a way to remain resilient. And defiance doesn't have to be a negative word.
Both are survival instincts. Yeah. And I guess as a politician, the best possible outcome you could have on any decision is if half the people love you and half the people hate you on it, then you probably landed right down the middle where it is best to be oftentimes with that. And I see that with regards to shutdowns, any delays or anything. You go to social media as the barometer and you see lots of people saying, good for you, good on you, you did the right thing. And then, of course, there's the others that saying, hey, I can't go to Blue Mountain this weekend. This sucks and everything else. And Right down to the municipal level, some of the decisions they're going to have to make. That's part of the job of being in politics and in the public eye. Is you're going to have to eat it on any decision you make, especially when it comes to something like this.
For sure you are. But thanks for the segue. Let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit, a little bit of real estate, consumer trends, consumer patterns, et cetera. If we're going to do a shameless plug, you talked about our outrageous amount of knowledge on the topic, and that was fantastic. Thanks for saying that.
In a tongue-in-cheek manner, I hope that came through at least. That I wasn't exactly,
Here's one thing I would want to camp out on, though, just a little bit, and that is that, for many of us, we get our news and we get our updates from more national sources or from sources from larger population centers like the Toronto GTA area. So that might be CTV News, it might be CBC, it might be Global, whatever it may be. It may be the Torstar or Globe and Mail. And I would say to you, though, that if they're going to cater to their readers, to their audience, to the demographic who are picking up what they're dishing out, they may be catering to that larger mass in the GTA. And if there's one thing that 2020 has shown us, it has shown us that real estate, it has confirmed our statement that there is no national real estate market. There is no macro real estate market. There are many micro real estate markets, and certainly Peel County and Barrie in particular is in its own marketplace.
Quite unique. It certainly has its pressures and other factors that determine where our market is at any given time. And oftentimes that can be a completely different picture than what we see nationally or in other parts of the country.
Sure. So let's talk specifics, Mike. Let's talk specifics in that particular case here.
Let's talk those specifics as they apply to Barrie and our region. And many of them are positive. And we were able to deduce a lot of these throughout the year in our various conversations with people like Nick Nanos, and there's a guy with his finger on the pulse of what's going on in real estate and just across the country with regards to pretty much anything politically and economically. And what I love about him is he doesn't add his own bias or personal preference in there. He just, basically he goes out and solicits the opinions and the numbers and puts them in front of you. He'll basically look at them and interpret them. And we may not like the interpretation sometimes, but they're pretty raw and straightforward. And one of the things that really rang true was that people are looking to exit the GTA for various reasons. That was true prior to the pandemic. It's even more true today. They're in greater numbers, I think, people, and I think going forward, people will want to leave. And it's all age ranges. It's like right from the first time home buyer buying their first home on through to senior citizens.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Years ago, the Holland Marsh used to be a bottom of the ocean or the lake. And once it dried up, the bottom, where all the soot and the sill sat, turned into this gold soil. So the community decided, because carrots are predominantly grown in the marsh, hence the name Carrot Fest. So it's celebrating our agricultural heritage. The origins of Carrot Fest started from open air market, where the farmers started selling their wares and vegetables on the street. Over the years, Carrot Fest has grown. We've grown from an event that had possibly 10,000 people to now showing up today, 50,000 people show up today.
let's talk about what's going on right here locally in our micro or our localized market. And really, if you look at it, a city council, as you said, or local government in this particular case, has a massive responsibility. It's an awesome responsibility because what hangs in the balance is people's perception is what is our government doing to help us get through this truly unprecedented for most of our lifetime scenario where the economy is at a halt and where we can't do anything. But here's the other thing is we are defying what would be historically or traditional trends where we have become all too comfortable with generalizing. But if you look at the Barrie market, as much as people locally may be struggling with their own small business or their employment, we are still absolutely impacted by seemingly small percentages, which still equate to large volumes of people moving into our area. And if you look at what's going on at City Council right now, they've got like 3.5 pages of approved or proposed development sites, and not just single units, but multiple townhouses, condos. Lots of development applications are in the process right now. Area.
And we may not have seen that level of anticipated projects simultaneously at any time in the past, for all I know.
Certainly not since 2006.
No. And that is definitely a good thing, because it means jobs. It means we're increasing the availability of accommodation in Barrie housing, which is the limited availability has definitely been the primary contributing factor to out of control rising prices in Barrie. So more inventory equals a steadier market. We're not going to this year was predominated by multiple bids on homes, driving up the prices. Pretty much everything sold for above the asking price.
Sure,
and
Mike,
I don't like to see that.
Let's take it to the local, though, to the local person who already lives here, not to the person who's leaving the GTA and moving to Barrie. For the person leaving the GTA and moving to Barrie, maybe they're leaving rental accommodations where they're paying $3,000 a month to rent a one-bedroom apartment in downtown Toronto. Maybe this is affordable to them, but certainly to people who have been here a generation or for some time, we're certainly seeing absolute upward pressure on pricing. So the fact that the development and the builder community is responding by putting shovels in the ground is helping and will help to stabilize. It won't lower the prices though, because there's still enough outside influence to jack the prices up.
If it slows the increase, because prices will continue to increase.
They will.
Everybody I talk to who's an investor, the first thing they ask me when they're looking at a property they're interested in is, let's check the history on this property. And in each and every case, we go back. If that property sold 5 or more years ago, there's a doubling of value between what it last sold for and what it sold for now. And for us to think, well, then I missed the boat. I should have bought then because I would have doubled my money. I would hazard a guess that if you look, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road from now, the average price home right now is $625 in and around there. I may be off by a little bit, but it's somewhere in that range. I would hazard a guess that property in 5 years from now could well be worth $1 million. And we will then at that time look and go, oh, I should have bought when it was 600. Yes, it's harder getting in. It takes a little bit more to get in. But when you double your money on a $600,000 product, you net more return than when you doubled your money in 2005 on that property had you bought it for $275,000. So depending on what lens you look at it through, there's an upside. And the investors, because of that, are going to keep coming to Barrie. People in the GTA are still going to keep coming here, and they're still going to be feeding that market in 2021. And they're coming here for the reasons we talked about. One of the new things, dynamics, is the quick onset of working virtually, working from home. Yeah. That's something we've all had to do, or many of us have had to do, who can do that with our jobs. But that's allowed people to rethink, well, I don't need to be paying $3,000 a month living downtown close to my office. When I'm working from my home, I can be working from my home in Barrie and effectively do the same thing. And I think a lot of industries are going to either see that continue with some jobs or some sort of blend where maybe you're working for 3 days a week from home and then for 2 days you're going to come into the office to do it. But it's definitely something that's here to stay, I believe, and it will influence real estate for sure.
That's what we have going on in one of our businesses right now. We do have people who are doing sort of 2 days from home and 3 days in the office, and it is a reality. But one of the things that I'm actually going to do this for the first time. I truly believe we're going to see movement in the downtown, in the core of Barrie. I truly believe that we're going to start to see a transformation at a much
underway
different pace than we had seen before.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think is going to happen is I think you're going to see some conversions along Bayfield Street. A trend that is already happening down in the GTA and other municipalities across North America is integrating residential into the retail space. Because if one thing is for sure, retail is on its deathbed. As retail as we know it is on its deathbed. And so something has to change. And I think that the forced change will be that if we don't want to be entirely influenced and inundated by online only transactions, and we still want to see some personal window shopping or personal in-person shopping transactions, maybe for groceries or whatever it may be, I think it's going to be the integration of commercial and residential at a greater pace than we've seen in the past.
I think you're right.
Actually, by the way, would be more in line with what you see in other parts of the world, Asia and Europe included.
Well, that's it. There's a lot of places who are further ahead of us than that. And not necessarily because they're smarter, it's just that they've seen that population demand such changes a lot sooner than we've seen it here at home. But we're hitting that more or less saturation point. But there are still a lot of new developments within the older built zones of Barrie that are underway. In addition to the downtown, we're seeing a lot of development sporadically happening here and there. And then there is, of course, the annexation lands where we're seeing all types of new residential from, multi-residential walk-up apartment buildings, townhomes, and detached. They're covering all of the basics for residential and all of the price points for residential too going forward. And one interesting thing, and I touched on it before, and I believe I'm right on this, but I've never heard anybody else comment on this professionally or who I work with in that. And that is the point that with new growth and new developments, these developers will spend millions of dollars marketing within the GTA, trying to lure people here to look at their product that's coming up. And we saw it when I first came into the business in 2000, when there were a lot of new subdivisions being built. There were big full-page ads in Toronto newspapers and magazines saying, "Come to beautiful Barrie." We as realtors in Barrie do not spend that kind of capital outside of Barrie to market Barrie, but the builders will do it. And they'll come here in droves to see all these new projects once they're all underway. And many of those people who do make the trip to come up and look at that new development that has been advertised often end up buying resale homes. Once they get here, they look around and go, well, what else is there? We don't necessarily need to buy into this project. It's not exactly what I thought. So a portion of them will buy, and those places will sell fast to locals and to out-of-town buyers. But there's always going to be a big spillover. And because there's so many projects happening right now, there's going to be a lot of people coming in as a result of that.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
I joined because I wanted to help others.
To be a part of something bigger.
To show my kids what's important.
I joined to make my community stronger.
To make a difference in someone's life.
To acknowledge that our freedoms come at a cost.
I joined to honor my mom.
My grandpa.
My neighbor.
Everyone who served.
Who are serving still.
I joined.
I joined.
I joined the Legion.
Time travel. No. Inversion. Technology that can reverse the flow of time. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Maybe I lost my edge. The edge is still intact.
After involving Nuha in this program, she feels very confident. Here you have a lot of opportunity.
I learned a lot of stuff, like being kind and I'm more open-minded.
Well, Mike, I will compliment your prophesying there with one thing, and that is that for anybody who's looking, first of all, anybody who lives in the local area here, and if any of us local Barrie or Simcoe County people think that the changes or the direction that our city is going to grow is solely going to be influenced by those of us who live here now, I think that's a big mistake. I think that would be offside. In all reality, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. It doesn't matter what I would love to have happen.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is you're absolutely correct. That small percentage, but large number of people and those builders who are going to be marketing to the segment that will and can absorb, consume, purchase, move it, buy their product, it is going to come. We are going to be influenced by the GTA. And as you mentioned, it won't just be purchasing the new stock or the new inventory. What the buyer will be thinking is, what is it that I've always wanted that I could not have where I was until today that I could get when I look at Barrie? And they will look at established neighborhoods. They will look at charm. They will look at a mature neighborhood as opposed to one that still has tumbleweed running through it while it's still in phase 3 of a construction site. They're gonna look at that. They're gonna look for the best schools. What is the right school?
Yeah, and with that, I think back to probably my favorite line I heard from any of our guests in the past year, and I think you know which one it is. It was Sean Morrison, president of Ontario Real Estate Association. He used the term drive till you qualify. And it sums it up. And that's precisely the behavior and mindset of so many first-time buyers in the GTA. They just get in the car or they get onto realtor.ca and are doing their homework. And the further out they go from that center point of the GTA, they see prices become more and more affordable. And once you hit around that sweet spot of Barrie, it seems to be a level of both affordability and amenities that people are happy with. We have a lot of, we are a quite self-sufficient city, more so with each passing year. We've got all the facilities everybody wants to live well, outdoor activities, the lake, skiing, golfing, everything, parks and hiking trails and everything. It's just a great community where you want to raise your kids or maybe live out your twilight years. People love Barrie. And Barrie's becoming, I look at what's happened just in the fall in the downtown. We have changed our Dunlop Street main strip dramatically over the course of the last year. And unfortunately, not all of us have gotten the opportunity to go and walk that strip and experience what a change it is because of COVID. But once we return to more normalcy here, I think we're going to see a lot more people coming into the downtown to experience that, not to mention the people who are going to be living literally walking distance from that as these developments come on board.
With that in mind, Mike, I think the prediction that I want to make and the what I want to offer our viewers and our audience and yourself and myself included, what I want to offer us all is that we will continue to do something different than we've done in the past. We will continue to face some new realities, some challenges. But I think those of us who are going to come out on top and thrive are, no matter where you are those who are going to be willing to let go a little bit of the way things used to be and embrace a little bit more of the way things could be and what I can do differently and what I have to contribute and how I can bring a skill set or drive an ambition to the opportunity that's presented in front of me. And so I think that that's what we're going to see more of in 2021. I think we will see new businesses start up and grow or move to the local area. And there will be those who choose not to, and there will be those who choose to decide that it's not possible. But I suppose that's always the case, and I don't wish that upon anybody. But I think it's gonna be an exciting year.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're ever going to return to normal, but I look forward to.
Well, was there ever a normal? Normal
what
has
is
been
right?
a moving feast.
Normal's pretty darn boring.
2021 normal will be redefined as it is each and every year, and I'm excited about where we're going. I am empathetic to those who, and we'd be remiss not to touch on the fact that there are some people who face some challenges. Business owners who've had to close their doors, and so, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to have to bounce back from a position, but perseverance and determination always tends to overrule anything else. And we are a good city, and we do have good support networks for anybody and everybody who are facing challenges here. So I'm confident, you know, we'll rise past this. Our real estate market, it is, the bar gets set higher and higher every year. It would have continued to be going higher with or without the pandemic.
Absolutely.
It just requires more resilience, more determination, and more persistence. Some creative ideas on getting yourself in the door to purchase a home. But I still believe that should be everybody's goal. And you think about it. If you put $100,000 into an RRSP, and you're going to earn roughly $3,000 on that over a couple of years at the rates that are going. Take a quarter of that, $25,000, and get yourself in the door on an entry-level home. That property over that same 3 years is going to see probably a net return if past indicators hold true. You're going to see a return of $100,000 on that $25,000 investment versus the $3,000 on $100,000. So I still think real estate is a good vehicle.
It's a good vehicle.
Yeah. And, but I mean, it's not just about the financial investment. Like we always default to the profit. It's a distraction when it comes to our home, but the intrinsic values of owning a home far outweigh the financial values. And we were reminded of those intrinsic values in 2000, I believe, or 2020, I believe. And those are the values of family,
people really
gathering.
Did come back to the home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and,
we didn't have much choice, but we did. Yeah. We did. But with that in mind, Mike, I think we've got some great things lined up for the new season, for the new year. We will be back in January, and I'm looking forward to what we're able to bring to the table. On that note, I do have to go because I've got a client waiting.
To yours and everybody else's good health and happiness and success in 2021.
Love your loved ones a little harder. Take care.
Yes. Happy New Year.